All right, guys, that's as far as we're going.
Let's get some gear out. Let's have some fun.
Let's get to digging.
Let's break in those shovels, man. We set up out here using the mini Gold Grabber. A few months ago, I had the opportunity to go to Idaho and see how it was made. No mistake in the Gold Grabber.
Right, Gold Grabber. Since this plant started with Alan Tree's products 20 years ago, and he moved it over the years to other molders, it's now come back home.
Hi, my name is Kevin Hoagland, and I have been prospecting and mining for over 40 years. I have gone to some of the most incredible places around the world, and I've prospected and mined with some of the most incredible people.
Searching for gold dust in the valley of bloodlust, under the sun misunderstood. And when that train comes rolling in, I'm taking everything I can.
We set up out here using the mini Gold Grabber and the new Gold Grabber rocker box. The mini Gold Grabber is a vertical high banker that you shovel into your material. It's got a bilge pump on the side of it, and you can use it anywhere. I headed to Riggins, Idaho to see the final processes of building a Gold Grabber. Alan, you started my Gold Grabber without me, man. What are you doing?
Well, Kevin, I got the blank and we got a little nervous with you not being here yet, so I thought I'd just start cutting some of the parts out.
Hi, I'm Alan Trees. I'm the owner of Gold Builders Warehouse here in Riggins, Idaho. I'm the designer of the Gold Grabber and the Gold Grabber product line. Gold Builders, under a different name, it was called Gold Grabber. It was founded in 1976. And I decided in 1976, after seeing a lot of sluice boxes and some of the parts that are, or products that are out there, that I wanted to make something that you didn't have to sit in the stream, you didn't have to have any movable parts, nothing to wear out, and basically just an upright sluice box. And that's how I kind of got started and went from there.
Alan uses some of the old school tools. Everybody that's worked with him, he's taught them, and he sets up jigs and he does these different things to make their life easier. But when Alan sits down and does one of these things, you know, he grabs a jigsaw and just an old manual pop rivet gun and an old manual screw gun and just boom, 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 he puts the thing together.
As you can see, I routed out the top. I cut my holes for my spray bars. I cut the discharge hole, and I cut the drawer back out. Nice rounded edges. We have a little knife that we do that with. As you can see, you just hit it a little bit with that. It doesn't make any difference if you scratch them a little bit, because we're going to use a torch here in a minute and we can make this all mold back together. What we don't like. As you can see, it just molds all the parts together, cleans them up. We don't want to put too much fire on them.
I worked on it for 2 years to make that work. What I wanted I wanted a hopper that you shovel into. I wanted to be able to give it to somebody that didn't know anything about mining at all. He just knew how to shovel. That it would screen your material for you automatically after it was washed, and put the gold into a location so that I didn't have to pan an entire sluice box of material. So I have a recovery drawer in the back. So the Gold Grabber actually does everything. When you shovel into it, it does everything from there on without you having to maintain it or stay on top of it. It washes your material, classifies it, and puts it in a recovery drawer.
When Alan was building the Gold Grabber, he was setting the metal plate in. There's a lot of plates. It's not just something that You know, you have this stack, you've got to go through it, you've got to precision drill a few places and get all the traps and everything else put in. And when he was reaching into one, he, as he was setting it, managed to slice his finger open.
That aluminum is sharp. I don't know what this is going to look like.
What are you going to do? You're going to blue tape your finger?
Well, there's going to have to be something happen here. There's going to have to be something happen here.
Looking down in it, hey man, the thing runs blood. It ought to run dirt and gold.
Especially this half actor to build a small one is the same as the full size.
Aside from slicing his hand open, I think he probably could have had the thing done in 3 to 5 minutes had he not been spending the time talking to me and running around looking for blue tape to put on his hand. Allen Trees is one of those very quiet legends in this industry.
Now you see we're ready to start adding baffles. And the first baffle, like I said, that I'll put in the baffle that brings the material to the back of the drawer.
First product was the sheet metal Gold Grabber. Built it for about 8 years in that particular materials. We had a lot of trouble with the zinc plating on the galvanizing coming off, and we just decided after that, I thought, well, I better build some tooling, and we rotomold the part out of polyethylene.
That's kind of the key baffle, because to recovery we must wash it back and forth and then bring the baffle to a 1-inch slot to drop into the drawer.
Allen's been known since the mid-70s as a guy who comes out with innovative designs. He's got equipment all around the world. He's just absolutely unstoppable. And I always wonder what's going to come out of his shop next.
That's kind of the key baffle, because to recovery we must wash it back and forth and then bring the baffle to a 1-inch slot to drop into the drawer. And then when the material reverses to come out the front of the sluice box, it drops the gold in the drawer. So this is a very precise piece that we have to add. And as you can see, I already bent one of them up. It looks a little high-tech, but a lot of angles. But really all it is just to bring the flow across here and to bring the material into the back of the drawer. So we'll just add that in here. As you can see, we just mashed it right down in there.
It's almost like a snap fit.
It is. When we build them, we want them to fit, because we don't want any loss around the edges.
Everything has to be exact. It has to be matching, because when Allen goes in there, you know, Allen's got jigs that he builds all the metal pieces for. And if there's any variation whatsoever between the plastic and the metal, then it doesn't work.
Now, where all that works really well is like high bench placers, where you don't have to work down right next to the water. You can actually take this box, so to speak, with a spray bar, and you can take it up to these bench placers, roll out your fire hose or your hose, and bring water from a lower point to an upper point to work areas that the old timers couldn't get water to because they didn't have pumps.
And the key is just to keep everything tight as you pop rivet. Pop rivets pull themselves up really tight anyway.
There's nothing worse than losing your gold inside of a piece of equipment and you can't get it out. And by those guys having such tight quality control, everybody, all the way down the line, it makes for something that I know that I can throw on the dirt anywhere, start pumping water through it, start throwing dirt in it, and I don't have to worry about losing gold.
We'll do it the old-fashioned way. That's the way I learn. That's why I teach my guys how to make them.
So it fits just about anybody's application. One of the full-size Gold Grabber weighs 42 pounds. The mini Gold Grabber weighs 21 pounds. Both of them are backpackable. They can be carried in. You don't have to have a water pump for either one of them. Even the full-size Gold Grabber. If you can simplify getting water into that hopper, either rolling out a piece of hose in an area where you can't get a pump, you can roll out a piece of hose up to an old spring box or build you a box up into a high spring. All you got to do is get water into that hopper and the machine does all the washing for you.
Does it really flow enough volume to warrant miner's moss?
No, it doesn't. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Miner's moss in this, when I tested it, just sat there and slugged.
Just slugged up.
And it just didn't work out. There's not enough flow in this. The recovery, like I said, the key to the recovery is the gold is brought in this baffle, and it hits these other washing baffles, and it washes back and forth, dumps through a 1-inch slot, and when the material has to reverse because it hits the back of the drawer, when it hits the back of the drawer, when the water reverses, that alters the flow. And when you alter the flow of the water, the gold will fall right now, boom, and the trash falls out the front.
Using this mini Gold Grabber, the thing is so compact. I can throw it onto a ledge backpack frame. I can take it virtually anywhere where I have just a little bit of water. I can recirculate my water all day long. So, you know, if I got 20 gallons of water, I got a place where I can go mine.
Now, as far as like the original Gold Grabber, the big unit, did you just take everything that you've done there on the big one and just scale it down to here?
You know, I did, but that didn't really work in the right proportion. No, that was an excellent point. I thought that would be the easy way. I just thought I'd make, instead of a 14-inch baffle, I'd make a 17-inch or a 7-inch, you know, half of that. And I thought the drawer, instead of being 16 inches long, I'd just make it 8 inches long. Well, no, the numbers didn't work out. No, I had to make the drawer 16 inches long, and on the full-size Gold Grabber, it's a 2-piece drawer, or 2-piece recovery. It has recovery out here and a recovery in the drawer. Well, to do that wasn't practical. I might as well just make the drawer go all the way through and make it simpler and do the same job.
The washing area is 5 different washings. You have the top, which is the hopper, that's where your initial wash is, and then it comes through the throat with the spray bar blowing on it. That is your secondary wash, and then it falls onto the grizzly, which still has water rushing over it. That's your third wash, and then it goes into a series of baffles, up to 3 baffles, washing left and right, and then when it returns into the back of the drawer through a 1-inch slot, when the water has to reverse, that alters the flow. The gold falls into the drawer, and then it washes the full length of 2 other sluice boxes before it discharges back onto the ground.
We set up out here using the mini Gold Grabber and the new Gold Grabber rocker box. The mini Gold Grabber is a vertical high banker that you shovel into your material, and it's got a pump, it's got a bilge pump on the side of it, and you can use it anywhere.
I gotta say, Alan Trees did a great job putting this together, because it really is old technology combined with new technology. And the funny thing about prospecting is nothing ever changes. It's still a principle of getting through material, letting the gold settle to the bottom, and then working through it.
This machine is just absolutely phenomenal. I hadn't had a chance to really use it a lot. I'd used it a couple of times, but you know, this thing absolutely does a great job on getting ultra fine gold. It's easy to use, and it comes in a lot of different versions. Now the rocker box. The rocker box is a new design that he came out with using just old school technology. And when you talk about old school technology, we're talking about the original rocker boxes were just made out of wood, and they had a handle on it. You'd rock it back and forth and use a dipping spoon and drop water into it. Alan's updated that, brought it into the 21st century, where it now has the same hand pump on it that the Gold Grabber does. As you rock the handle, it drives the pump and moves the material down through there. Both of them, excellent, excellent units. They are fantastic in the recovery of fine gold, and quite frankly, I don't think we missed anything across the sluice boxes of either of the machines. We're getting into that fractured bedrock.
Yeah, finally.
Want to make sure that's really cleaned up good.
Pretty good black sand in that one.
Using this mini Gold Grabber, the thing is so compact. I can throw it onto a ledge backpack frame. I can take it virtually anywhere where I have just a little bit of water. I can recirculate my water all day long. I love the Gold Grabber. The thing is absolutely phenomenal. The rocker is a fantastic machine. It could easily become something that I use all the time. Oh, I was actually impressed. There was a few pieces of, you know, just a couple of little tiny specks, but there's about 60 pieces of color. Yeah, just little, and it's tiny. I mean, it is tiny, 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 tiny stuff. Well, we were talking to Alan made a remark about how many of the mini gold grabbers he'd sold, and he said that the numbers now were well over 30,000. And quite frankly, I'm not even surprised about that. The unit works so well, and whether it's a hand pump unit or a unit that you can run with a small electric motor, even a small gasoline engine, little pump motor unit, 30,000 wasn't really a surprising number to me because the machine does work so good. If anything, I'm surprised that it was just 30,000 units.
The age-old debate is, do you want more gold or do you want the better gold, the bigger gold? It's all the same. You know, it all adds up. I really like finding these old pockets. I love finding this blue channel. It's hard to find anymore. It's what the old timers followed. It's what they knew to be the signal for gold. And so when we started getting into that old blue channel, that really kind of got my heart racing. And I think it did Kevin as well. So I don't mind working down there because I realize that we may not be in as much gold as maybe we were getting off of the wall, but I think ultimately on that bedrock, as we start clearing that bedrock, there will be not only a greater quantity, but probably some larger pieces, some really handsome coarse gold down there.
Well, today I was really expecting to have just a really good time with hanging out with Kevin and learning as much from him as I could. Did learn quite a bit. He's a very experienced, knowledgeable gentleman, and between him and Mike, there's years of wealth there for any prospector to learn as much as they can.
Wandering around, looking at some of the different places where people have worked, modern time working here, there was a spot that we're looking at, and the more I look at this spot, I think it's been run wrong. It's been prospected wrong. If you look at the geology of the area, starting with up on the road, starting way up here on the road, and following that all the way down, you see that the stream channel really ran a different direction. And the old high bench up here, it's not what most people think. You know, the bench ends. And looking at this and looking inside this hole, and somebody's been digging in this hole and they've pretty well abandoned it. So I'm thinking if we do some real prospecting and look at it from a different potential of the water coming through it at a different angle or a different direction, I think that we're going to be able to get into some gold that probably nobody has in the past. It's called efficiency, man.
And it was great because while we're working this, we're prospecting, we're getting gold, and here come a couple of ferrets down the side of the mountain. If we'd had a motor going, if we'd had noise going and all of that, they'd have never walked into this mining area. And it was fun to just see a little bit of wildlife wander in. And I guess what it does is it lets us know that, look, we can use some of these new technologies, we can make it work, and we can still get gold.
There's a hand drill, like a 3/4 inch hand drill, and a drywall.
We're just a beater.
Yeah, the drywall mixer.
Yeah.
Man, that works so good for this stuff. I don't really want to talk about the potential of this hole very much because I plan on coming back here.
You know, it's great because one of the things about prospecting and mining in general is the people you meet. Every one of us has a passion, and it doesn't matter what our experience level is. We all have this common goal, this camaraderie that exists when we are in the pursuit of the gold, and it's really the joy of the hunt. Having Corey here and his son Alex, it's great to see the next generation getting off the couch, coming on out and doing some prospecting and doing some good hard work. I think a lot of kids would benefit by being out here, getting on the business end of a shovel, filling up a bucket or two, and running some material through a rocker box or a sluice box or something. I think they'd really benefit.
Here, let me break some of it up for you.
Oh, beautiful, yeah.
Jump out of there, man. Oh, man, I didn't realize you were sitting on that bedrock slab.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Yeah.
Look at the fractures, too.
Yeah, yeah.
Oops.
I have had a lifelong desire to be a prospector, probably since I was about 4 or 5 years old. When I came to Oregon 30 plus years ago, I had a couple old gold pans I'd never used, never touched, never knowing that there was gold in Oregon.
Oh man. Whoa. All right, well, we just dumped out about a third of the gold.
Losing a little gold there,
Yeah,
Chief.
well, that's all right.
About 20 years ago, I started doing some research, became just a real student of geology, and discovered that Oregon had as great a gold rush as any other part of the country. From there, I met different people, got to know different people, and every person along the way was an educator and a mentor to me. Let's see what it does.
Let's stop. Bring it back over here. I know that I can throw on the dirt anywhere, start pumping water through it, start throwing dirt in it, and I don't have to worry about losing gold. It's going to be in the box. If it goes into the box, it's going to be in the box when I'm done.
I've been to 2 county fairs and a hanging. I ain't never seen anything like that. I think we were just starting to really get into some of the good material. I would have expected a little bit more gold than what we got.
We got some pretty nice gold. I'd be happy with it. It's an excellent spot, and we found some really good gold. This is a spot I want to come back to.